Still hearing the music from the NRC. Time is now 9 a.m. They should be coming online any moment.
I'd like to inform all participants that your lines have been placed on a listen-only mode until the question and answer session of today's call. Thank you. You may begin.
Thank you. This is Billy Gleaves online. I'm NRC's Senior Project Manager responsible for licensing review for Bellefonte in NRC's Division of Licensing, Siting, and Environmental Analysis called LLC-Pt. I have a few preliminaries before I go around the room and we identify ourselves in the room, and then before we go to the phone line. So with that, this is a public Category 1 meeting. It's called a pre-submittal meeting, which was requested by Nuclear Development LLC to discuss plans for Bellefonte Nuclear Generating Station Units 1 and 2, which is near Scottsboro, Alabama. In a Category 1 public meeting, the public is invited to observe the meeting and will have an opportunity to communicate with the NRC staff after the business portion of the meeting is concluded, which at the end, participants who are on the phone will be queued by the operator with questions. So please, I think you hit *1 to get into the queue with a question. I'm passing around in the room sign-in sheets. If you haven't signed in, please do so, and I'd like to collect all those at the end of the meeting. Also, there's feedback forms on this chair behind me. For those in the room, we appreciate any feedback that you have on public meetings so we can make improvements as necessary. For this meeting, for those on the phone and here, there are no meeting handouts. ND LLC representatives just speaking to us, and there's no materials in the room here that we're looking at, and therefore none distributed. There'll be a meeting summary within about 30 days. Within 30 days of this meeting, there'll be a meeting summary summarizing the activities here. For safety, if you hear fire alarms, the fire alarms will have announcements included. Please take time to look around and find the fire exits. You'll be required to follow NRC staff when we evacuate if that happens. Generally, the fire exits are past the elevators behind me, and to the left and to the right are the stairwells that leave the building. That is where the stairwells are, is also where the restrooms are, so if you need assistance, please stand up, and the NRC staff will at least wait in the hallway here to as part of the security requirements. So, with that, I'd like to go around the room and identify yourselves and your affiliation, and then when that's concluded, I'll prompt the operator to open the line so that folks on the bridge can do the same. So again, I'm starting it off. I'm Billy Gleaves, Senior Project Manager for NRC.
David Roth, Office of General Counsel.
Jennifer Dixon Harity, I'm Chief of the Licensing Branch, currently responsible for the Bellefonte reapplication.
Michael Wisniewski, Economist, NRR. Rob Taylor, Director of the Division of Licensing, Siting, and Environmental Analysis, NRF.
My name is Brett Titus, the Acting Branch Chief of the Beyond Design Basis Management Branch, NRL.
Jerry Jackson, Chief of Quality Assurance Business Management Branch,
John Burke, Senior Engineer, Division of Construction Inspection, Operational Program.
Kelly D, NRC, I'm like a second
Scott Burnell, Office of Public Affairs.
I'm Russell Bell with the Nuclear Energy.
Neil Haggerty with External Services.
Victor Treviels from Carrier.
Stuart Holman, Project Manager, NRL.
Bill McCollum with Nuclear Development LLC.
Tim Matthews, Morgan.
Thank you. So that is everyone that's in the room. Can I ask the operator to open the line so that the folks on the phone can identify themselves to everyone here in the room?
Thank you, Billy. All lines are open.
Yeah, this is,
Brendan Wade from Southern. Farshid Cherokee, Framatome.
Bill Matthews, Allied Technical Resources.
Larry Bluss, the development.
Tom Golf, Public.
Sandra Kurtz, Blue Ridge Environmental Defense League. Sharon Thomas, DOE.
Gary
Kelly, International.
Gary Morgan, Blue Ridge Environmental Defense League, local chapter, Bellefonte Fish Sustainability Team, Scottsboro, Alabama.
Pat Whitten with Framatome in Lynchburg, Virginia.
Mike Ernstis, NRC Region 2.
Tim Chardos, TBA.
Levelland.
Bud Hamer, INM.
Captain Sutton, Morgan Lewis.
Stephen Burdick, Morgan Lewis. Danny Yates, Bellefonte. Walter Justice, Snap-on Consulting.
Is that everyone on the phone?
John Lockley, Public.
Gary Peters, Framatome.
Anyone else on the phone? All right. Very good. Operator, if you don't mind, please return the bridge to listening mode, and then we, at the end, will open it again as is provided as queue for questions.
Thank you. All lines are muted.
Okay, thank you very much. So those are the preliminary comments that I have. So right now, I believe that Bill McCollum from Nuclear Development LLC will start the meeting with the comments that he's prepared.
Thank you. As we know, Bellefonte is a nuclear power plant project in northeastern Alabama. Construction on Bellefonte was begun a number of years ago and subsequently stopped by TVA, which went through a long process then of deciding the ultimate disposition of Bellefonte and auctioned the plant off in late 2016. Nuclear Development, the successful bidder at the auction, and entered into an agreement with the Sea Valley Authority to purchase the Bellefonte site. The construction at Bellefonte had proceeded at a point in time. Bellefonte Unit 1 was greater than 90% complete, and Unit 2 was substantially complete. So what we want to talk about today is the current plans for completion by Nuclear Development LLC and the licensing activities with NRC. In terms of our plans for completion of the Bellefonte site, Nuclear Development has chosen SNC Lavalin to be our lead engineering and construction contractor. Has people on site at Bellefonte doing assessment activities as we speak. We look forward to closing on the sale of the property later this year, and then we'll move into our completion activities, which will begin with an engineering phase starting after closing on the property. And in parallel with the completion of engineering phase, we will be performing a number of licensing activities as well as some non-nuclear and assessment activities. The main intent of scheduling this so that we have an engineering phase up front before beginning completion construction activities is to ensure that we have engineering substantially complete, to have high confidence in both the plans for completion and the work activities needed to be done such that construction construction, when it proceeds, can proceed with good productivity. Throughout this process, since the auction of the property, nuclear development has been reimbursing Tennessee Valley Authority for maintaining the site, and will continue to maintain the site in its current conditions throughout this process. Construction will only begin at the site after adequate notice to the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. As far as our coming licensing activities, Bellefonte will be licensed under NRC NCFR Part 50 licensing process. The docketing with the NRC an application for transfer of the existing construction permits. That application will be coming to the NRC soon. Asked to transfer the construction permits in their current deferred plant status. And then subsequent to that, as we get into the engineering phase, update the docket a operating license application under NCFR Part 50. As part of those processes, we look forward to demonstrating adequate financial and technical qualifications for the tasks at hand as we move through the first portions of the engineering processes into construction and ultimately on for getting the operating license. We also look forward to demonstrating that the design of the Bellefonte plant with upgrades and work that will be done during the completion phase of our activities will be able to demonstrate a level of safety that will meet or exceed the industry goals for new reactors. Schedule for our activities in broad terms, as I said, we look forward to conducting the application for transfer of the existing construction permits prior to the closing of the sale this coming November, executing that closing in November, and then we'll be providing a more detailed construction schedule by the end of this year as the engineering phase of the project, and look forward to providing more details of our licensing schedule beyond the application to transfer construction permits by the first part of 2019. With that, I'll turn it over to Tim Matthews to talk just a little more about the upcoming license.
Thanks, Bill. Again, I'm Tim Matthews. I'm a partner at Morgan Lewis. Morgan Lewis supports nuclear development at the Regulatory Council. Comments are based on our current thinking about the NRC aspects of the project. That specific approach may evolve based as the project develops based on our interaction with the NRC staff. I'll begin by sharing some of our high-level thoughts on the transfer of the Bellefonte Unit 1 and 2 construction permits from CBA to nuclear development. As Bill indicated, nuclear development plans to submit that application to the NRC in the near term to support transfer of the CP. The application will be submitted under 10 CFR 50.80. Consistent with similar applications, the application would seek conforming amendments to the construction permit, such as changing their name to reflect the new permit holder, and possibly some additional permits. The application would also seek to revise the latest construction completion date in the CP by demonstrating good cause for those. Worth to note that nuclear development is not seeking to immediately begin construction activities after the transfer. Instead, nuclear development plans to seek to transfer the CPs in their current deferred plant status under the Commission's policy statement on deferred plants. There'll be an engineering assessment phase still described and a licensing phase subsequent to the transfer. Nuclear development plans to provide the 120-day notice prior to active construction as described in the deferred plant policy. I'll turn first to technical qualifications. Satisfy the transfer requirements under 5080, nuclear development recognizes it must demonstrate both technical and financial qualifications. For regulatory purposes, nuclear development during the post-permit transfer has two periods. The first be done, staffing its owners, oversight organization, and building its own internal things. Their development will implement appropriate quality assurance and oversight once the CPs are transferred. Their development will contract with experienced nuclear companies and augmenting the owner's oversight organization. Their development already has engaged an experienced, recognized, respected engineering, procurement, and construction management contractor, NRC Lavalin, lead the engineering and construction phase of the project, and he also can rely on NRC Lavalin during the deferred plan period. Prior to moving beyond deferred plan status and beginning licensed construction activities, ND plans to enhance its owner's oversight organization by engaging an experienced nuclear plant operating company. Financial qualifications. During the deferred plan period, under the purchase and sale agreement with Bellefonte, ND has been reimbursing TVA for the ongoing cost of maintaining the Bellefonte plant for its status since November 16. While commercial financing of the project has been completed, nuclear development plans continue to pay those costs. During the construction period, nuclear development is pursuing a project finance model for completion of construction and development, similar to the approach applied in recent DOL applications for the NRC. Their development plans to support a portion of the financing with a loan guarantee from the Department of Energy under the Energy Policy Act of 2012. Consistent with NRC precedents, for example, LLC-Pt 3 and 4, nuclear development plans in our applications request an exemption from certain regulatory requirements related to financial qualifications for construction permits, causing the use of the alternative financial qualification standard approach to commission construction and earlier as staff requirements memorandum related to ongoing financial development. The application would request a financial qualification license condition required to be satisfied with license construction began. It would require providing an updated cost estimate, documentation of the differences from previous estimates, documentation of closing on the finance project, relying on the price of previous examples. Financial qualification license condition. One final point is worth emphasizing. ND plans, the development plans rely on TVA's previous efforts to bring the plants to operation. So, although not necessarily relevant to the transfer of TVA, the development's general regulatory and licensing approach will be to follow the earlier discussion and licensing framework document between the NRC and TVA regarding Bellefonte construction restart. For example, when appropriate, the development plans to update the existing TVA operating license application rather than continue. Another example is TVA's approach to recovery activities for equipment at the site and the approach for reviewing the plan. We're happy to answer any questions. Please recognize your approach developing ongoing. Recognize you will have some thoughts on it.
All right, that's the end of your comments.
Yeah, thank you.
So again, just to summarize, this is our initial meeting on licensing activities related to Bellefonte to Development LLC. We anticipate bill for transfer of construction permits to happening fairly soon. Follow that up with more information related to our anticipated construction and licensing schedules. And as Tim indicated, that following that up in parallel with our engineering phase of activities, an operating license application, as Tim indicated. During work associated with the review of the operating license application, we anticipate significant interaction with NRC staff and are looking to, this is sort of our going in framework thinking, looking to previous licensing framework discussed between Tennessee Valley Authority licensing staff and NRC staff as a guide for thinking and help us get started in those activities. construction grant reviews. Further interactions, receiving the operating license.
All right, thank you, Bill. This is Billy Gleaves from NRC. At this time, I'd like to ask the operator that we are ready to take the questions that may be queued up. If you can go ahead and start that process.
After the tone, please state your name and company, followed by the pound sign.
And Gary Morgan, Brettel Best.
Thank you.
Again, if you'd like to ask a question, please press star 1. One moment, please. Our first question comes from Gary Morgan. Your line is open.
Thank you. This is Gary Morgan down in Scottsboro, Alabama. I have a couple of questions. And I'm taking these questions are to the Nuclear Regulatory Commission.
Correct, yeah.
Folks up there at the NRC, of course, the purchase is not complete yet from Nuclear Development LLC. They're slated to purchase that in November. Of course, the principal in this transaction and the activity is Mr. Franklin Haney. Can the NRC give the public assurances? And there's a reason for me asking this as it goes to nuclear surety and the integrity of all involved, that since Mr. Haney, being the principal of Nuclear Development LLC, has made large contributions, as reported, to the president, and of course the president is y'all's boss. Can you give the public assurances at this time that the integrity of the NRC will be maintained, and that you will hold the public safety as first and foremost in your mission in the inspections and for Bellefonte? Can you give the public assurances of that at this time, that you will not allow political interference to enter in?
So this is Rob Taylor. Thank you for that question. The NRC is an independent regulatory body made up of a 5-member commission. The point of that under the Energy Reorganization Act and the Atomic Energy Act is to establish an independent agency that is separate from the executive body of the federal government. So we maintain that independence from the administration and conduct our licensing and safety work in accordance with our statutory mandates under the Atomic Energy Act. So we're not a political agency. We're not a cabinet-level agency that reports to the president directly. We have a 5-member commission that oversees our activities to do that. And we will follow our regulatory requirements in conducting our reviews to ensure that we meet our mission of our safety mission.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate that. I just wanted to hear it from y'all, the commitment. I've been dealing with y'all for a long time. I do have one other question. That is related to structure integrity. There has been some problems. Of course, the license for Bellefonte was surrendered from the TVA, and during that surrendering period, the plant was cannibalized, and there was issues with structural integrity. A report was handed in to the TVA about those issues of structural integrity from Fairwinds Energy, who was hired by the Southern Alliance for Clean Energy. Can the NRC give assurances that y'all will thoroughly inspect the plant before it will come into operation?
This is Billy Gleaves. So I think what you're asking is issues at the plant since original construction, and there's been a lot of things that have happened over the decades since the initial construction. And we're aware of issues, we're aware of aging issues, we're aware of containment tendons, we're aware of water on the site, etc. Those issues, all those issues will have to be, well, first of all, the basic design basis for the plant will have to be assured, and then all the regulatory requirements that are applicable to that site will have to be met before the NRC can do anything, before we will do anything. So I think that is the answer, is essentially yes, all those issues will be addressed and dispositioned before the NRC can go forward. If the site meets the regulatory requirements, then that's a a determination we'll make in the future.
Yeah.
I'll elaborate. This is Rob Taylor. That will include, as we go forward, as with all nuclear power plants out there, an inspection program to oversee the activities at the site. So we would establish and implement an inspection program to oversee the resolution or the resumption and completion of the construction activities and the potential future operation of the plant.
Thank you. If the plant is transferred to Nuclear Development LLC, the purchase not complete yet, will y'all be having license transfer hearings here in Scottsboro?
I'm not. This is Billy Gleaves from NRC. I'm fairly certain that there are no hearings required associated with the request to transfer the construction permit to ND LLC.
Okay, thank you.
I think that's it.
That's it from Gary.
Okay, thank you, Gary.
Thank you. At this time, there are no further questions, but as a reminder, please press star 1. One moment.
If I could. So this is Rob Taylor, for those on the phone speaking. I appreciate the discussion that Bill and Tim gave this morning. What I heard was that you intend to submit your application in the near term for the transfer of the construction permit. So my understanding is you must still be nailing down what the near term is within that realm from the perspective of when we should expect to see it. So I think when it comes to the 3 phases you kind of outlined there, between the transfer of the CPs, the proceeding with the construction after the 120-day notice, and the pursuit of the operating license, I think one of the things from a planning perspective for the NRC, so that we can align our resources, would be when you're ready is to give us some more clarity about the schedules and the plans, because if there are particular needs or schedule drivers that affect you, we of course will strive to meet those, but at the same time we have to conduct our reviews in accordance with our safety and regulatory mandates. So the better we understand the schedules from nuclear development at the time you're ready to present them, the better we will be able to align our resources to be prepared to pursue those and to conduct those reviews in a timely manner. Right now, from what you've said, we understand where you're headed. I think there's not enough there yet for us to effectively plan for it, and I think that's fair for both sides. So I think that we'll need to have, as you indicated, more dialogue and more meetings once you're ready to have this conversation. So at this point, I think what I've heard today is very insightful from the perspective of understanding that you're putting that plan together. You have the intent to engage us on each of those elements as you progress, and then I guess we're still in a waiting mode to understand that schedule so that we can provide feedback and perspective about the reasonableness and any challenges we might see if they exist in that schedule, and then work to see how we can recognize that we need to conduct our work in a transparent and open manner and have a public meeting, any associated hearings that would go along with any of the elements that do have hearing activities. So from that perspective, I think this was informative, and we would look forward to some future dialogue and discussion with you when you're ready.
Thank you. So this is Bill McCollum with Nuclear Development. So just to clarify that comments that I made earlier, we do intend to submit the application for transfer of construction permits between now and November, and then submit schedules with more details, as you indicated, that you would need following the close in November.
If I was taking notes, it was a lot of information, so thank you for that. If I was taking my notes carefully and correctly, what I thought I heard was the first part of 2019, so we would hear more about a more detailed licensing schedule. Is that correct? Okay, got that. Right. Okay.
This is Tim Atkins from Orville. To reiterate Bill's point, I think the only near-term resource need we would have of the agency would be review of the CP transfer application, and following that, there will be significant period which we can dialogue on as the company develops the plan.
Understood. I think one of the things in understanding those plans is we think about what inspection activities are appropriate to monitor recognizing there's an engineering element you identified and discussed, and that's something within your control as you do that work. But as you progress into the construction, understanding when you think you're going to progress into that, so that we can plan those resources, especially if it requires on-site personnel or traveling personnel to support and the completion of the inspection activity. That's going to be something that's going to require a little bit of lead time for us to coordinate and to be effective at, and to make sure that we don't miss things that we were in the inspection that we need, or in the inspection space that we need to look at, and that would cause you challenges down the road with verification with us that you have completed construction in accordance with the construction permit. So what we want to do is be appropriately aligned with your schedule to have those inspectors at the site to see the things that need to be seen to do that verification, so that when it comes to the certification of the construction permit that's been completed, we can make it in a reasonable, effective manner.
This is Bill McCall again. So we absolutely understand that it's essential that the NRC have adequate information ahead of time to be able to schedule and execute your inspection activities. And so we intend to provide more details about that schedule for engineering and transition to construction by the first of the year time frame, realizing that the commencement of actual construction activities could not begin until at least several months after that. So we will continue to provide information and work with the staff of the network. And I think just supplement that in that recognizing our obligation as the applicant, communicate with the NRC in advance, well in advance, recognize that the burden is on the applicant to provide a high quality application such that that too can move on.
Thank you for that.
All right, this is Billy Gleaves. Operator, are there any more questions on those on the phone?
At this time, there are no questions on the phone line.
Very good, thank you. I'd like to I'm going to go around the room here and see if there's questions of those in the room. It looks like Terry.
So Terry Jackson, with the quality assurance vendor inspection group. And so typically when we deal with new applicants, my group is probably the first one that gets affected because we approve the quality assurance programs and so forth. So thinking of Belmont is probably even unique because Belmont has a long history and you're going to be bringing in work. Okay, it's done under their quality assurance program. You'll have to transfer it. It'll be under your quality assurance program and so forth. So it's probably more of a comment that I guess we'll be one of the first ones that will see the workload coming up first, and whatever kind of information you guys can give us clarity about how, not only your own quality assurance program, but ultimately how you're going to be bringing in the work that's done in previous years as well. Be interesting to us. The other item is long lead components. I don't know if you have a lot of those that you'll be working with, but we know that from experience that new plants under construction, a lot of times they have to order some components a lot sooner than the other construction activities. So any information on that as well in the future would be beneficial for us so long. And then the final one was, you had mentioned something about upgrades to telephone current design. So probably information on that in the future would be useful as well. That way we would know what techniques and reviews in certain areas because of upgrades.
Thank you. So this is Bill McCall. I absolutely understand that the QA programs you want the first areas that we can address with the staff as we move forward. I appreciate the comment about the TDA quality assurance program information and nuclear development as we're going forward. I understand that's something to dialogue about more. In terms of long lead components, we do have new replacement stem generators for Bellefonte Unit 1 on site, fabricated under contract from TVA previously, and so that is helpful to us because those would be one of the longest lead components for Bellefonte Unit 1.
you give me a count of those on the phone?
Yes, we have 39 on the phone line.
39? All right, thank you very much. Thank you for your time. This is Billy Gleaves of NRC. That's all the final comments from ND. There are no additional questions or comments to those here in the room. And hearing no more on the phone, I'm going to terminate this call. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That concludes today's conference. Thank you for participating. You may disconnect at this time.
Thank you.
Well, that was actually short. Lasted about 35 minutes. I expected it to go longer, but it didn't. I'm also surprised that there was no more comments from the public that was on here other than myself. All right, this is Gary Morgan, artlight.blogspot.com in the borough, and also for today, representing Blue Ridge Environmental Defense League and our local chapter, Bellefonte Efficiency and Sustainability Team, and our education arm, Mothers Against Tennessee River Radiation. Bye, y'all.